Good day everyone, I'm Jared Kabadonga from BAT4A and in this video we're going to tackle about Chapter 4 Materials Management. So let's proceed for the number 1. First is Introductions. All business that has a manufacturing operation typically manages inbound and outbound of all the physical assets of the organization, as well as the service a business offers. These goods and services are the wealth of the business. The wealth is measured by the amount of goods and services produced by the business, and it is all based on the country where the business is located at. Some countries are rich with resources such as a mineral deposit, farmland, forests, etc. These are only potential sources of wealth of the country which will give benefits of the business to their assets, especially also if the country is labor abundant. So according to this, manufacturing companies transform raw materials into products that are significantly more valuable and practical for consumers than the raw materials themselves. And manufacturing or production is the term for this process of conversation, which increase societal wealth and raises living standards. A company must concentrate on its operation during the production process in order to produce high quality goods and services. In order to accomplish this, the company must handle its material efficiently as possible. So that's for the introduction. So let's start for the next page. Um, what is materials management? It is the planning, directing, controlling, and coordinating those activities which are concerned with the materials and inventory requirements from the point of their inception to their introduction into the manufacturing processes. So, material management, which includes capabilities for supply chain plan and execution, and is fundamental component of the supply chain. So, materials management is typically the skill used by business to plan their complete material requirements. So, that's for management. Next is objectives of materials management. So, there are four of objectives of materials management, which is material selection, low operating cost, safety of materials, identification. So, in material selection, the selection of the appropriate materials and component is made. So, and then the material needs in accordance with the sales program are evaluated. So that's for material selections. So in low operating cost, should make an effort to maintain low operating costs while increasing profits without sacrificing quality. So next one is safety of materials. Safety of materials with careful management of materials or all incoming, outgoing, and stock goods will always be protected against theft, damage, and expirations. So in identification, order and procurement misunderstanding will be reduced with the help of materials management. So that's all for the objectives of materials management. So let's proceed. Classification of materials. The materials which can be consumed in the production process can be basically classified as direct materials and indirect materials. So, in any goods that are used in the production process are referred to as materials. And the material which can be consumed in the production process can be basically classified as ganun nga, direct and materials, indirect materials. So, raw materials is the usual terms for substance. The terms inventory refers to all raw materials, work in progress, and finished commodities together. Although the terms material and inventory are often used in interchangeable, material typically refers to materials. So, while inventory refers to raw materials, work in progress, and finished goods. So, in this process, raw materials going to work in progress, which is sa the final is finished goods. So, that's for classification of materials. Next one is classification of inventory is done on the basis and those The different classification of inventory as follows by raw materials, components and parts, maintenance, repair and operating inventories, work in process goods, finished goods, resale goods, capital goods, construction materials, hard goods or soft goods, fuel and lubricants, stationary goods, primary packing materials. So in raw materials, during the manufacturing process, raw materials are the things that will be combined and or converted into semifinals or final products. They take on a different shape and merge with the finished items. So next one, components and parts are integrated to create finished things in assembly operations, much as raw materials are transformed into finished goods in a manufacturing activity. So next one is maintenance, repair and operating inventories, or which is MRO. So the term maintenance, repair and operating inventory refers to the components, materials, and supplies that are consumed or utilized in the regular upcoming in repair operation in order to support operations. So the next one is work in process goods. So are those that are still being manufactured or are just half finished in between substantial conversion phases. They are typically assessed for accounting purposes. So that's for work in process goods. So next one is finished goods. So when it comes to finished goods, are what remain after raw materials have been fully transformed into the desired outcome. These products are offered for sale and shippings. Next one is resale goods. Products purchased for resale are known as resale products. Such commodities may be bought by a wholesaler to resell the distributors or by distributor to resell the consumer and etc. So capital goods. Yung capital goods are things like equipment that must be used across a number of operation or operating periods because they have a long useful lives and are not used or consumed in a single operating period. So that's all for capital goods. Then the next one is construction materials. Include both raw materials and construction related components. Others taking like a bridge or a building like that. So the next one is hard goods or soft goods. Each have different characteristic based on the sectors. For instance, in the context of data processing, hard goods refers to equipment like computer and terminals, whereas soft goods refers to software and data storage, media, and similar. So that's all for hard goods and soft goods. So fuel and lubricants is depending on the type of industry, fuel and lubricants are used to oil the machinery involved in the process. So that's all for the classification of inventory. So the next one is scopes of materials management. The scope of materials management includes the following aspects. Number one is material planning. Number two is standardization, procurement, and purchasing. Four is quality control. Five packaging. Six storage, and seven distribution. So in number one, material planning is a manufacturing procedure that involves figuring out the materials and quantities needed for production and controlling their flow to guarantee prompt order fulfillment. So the factors affecting material plannings are factors and micro factors. So macro factors, global elements including business cycle, price movements, and governmental policies. Macro consideration include things like import and export regulation, etc. So, and in microfactors, the term microfactors refers to elements that are essentially present within a company, such as corporate policies or inventory keeping, production plans, and investment, and etc. Standardization. So, number two, standardization is the process of creating, disseminating, and putting into practice standards, norms, and specifications for frequent and repeated usage with the goal of establishing the highest level of order or uniformity in a particular field, discipline, or settings. So in procurating and purchasing, from the creation and processing of a requisition to the receipt and approval of the invoice for payment, it covers the entire process of acquiring goods and services. Excuse me. So the next one is quality control. The term quality control refers to the processes used to identify and quantify variation in output characteristic related to the production systems, as well as corrective actions. The purpose of inspection in quality control is to examine and confirm the variance data. So that's for quality control. The next one is packaging. In order to hold, handle, preserve, and transport an item, packaging comprises activities like cleaning, drying, conserving materials like glass, metal, paper or wafer bond, and plastic. Then number six is storage. Is the non-transitory, semi-permanent containment, holding, or storage of objects or materials, typically with the goal of retrieving them in the future. So seven, which is the last, distribution, is the flow of goods and services from the point of original all the way through the distribution channel and into the hands of the ultimate consumers. So that's all for the schools of material management. So let's proceed to the next one. Types of materials handling. Manual handling refers to the use of workers' hands to move individually containers by lifting, lowering, filling, empty, or carrying. So this is the process for handling something things. Number two, automated is any form of handling of material that uses automatically machines and robotics. So that's all for types of material handlings. Uh, Material handlings equipments. Excuse me. The factor below are the things to consider in selecting a machine and other physical facilities for the company. These are simple if operation, flexibility, durability, affordability, benefits, service, operating cost, style, supplier, and lastly is cost. So in simple if operation, prior to investing in any machinery or equipment, of course, officers should always consider the ease of use of any equipment that they purchase. It should be simple to use and should always reduce operator fatigue to get effective results. So that's for simple operations. So in flexibility, when a machine finds design, it must be able to be used for a variety of tasks. Durability, the machine needs to be powerful and long lasting. Of course, the machine breaking down means the investment was wasted. And in front, portability, the size of the machine is reduced into portable size. Then benefits, when a machine takes the role of manual work, improved precision, and results must be generated. Then in service is the organization should always confirm that a machine or piece of equipment has after sales support as from prefers and appropriate maintenance and crucial for the machinery to continue operating as intended. In operating costs, the company's working capital is one of its most important assets, and machinery and equipment with minimal running costs will help the company preserve its working capital. So, style. Since it helps build the market and the company's credibility, the design of the machine and equipment should be appealing. Suppliers. When purchasing such machines and equipment, the business should always give priority to the suppliers, of course. Then, costs. Generally speaking, performance improves as cost rise. The machine's cost is equivalent in terms of laboring savings, low maintenance costs, etc. So, that's all for material handling and equipment. We're going to proceed to the next one. Material handling equipment. So transport equipment, conveyors, cranes. So this is the example of conveyors and cranes. So first is material handling equipment, transport equipment, positioning equipment, equipment for forming unit loads, storage equipment, and identification and control equipment are the four categories into which material handling equipment is categorized. So conveyors is an equipment that transport items along a predetermined path between designated locations. Materials can be moved using conveyors both inside the building and when loading products into the hubs for transportation. And in cranes, equipment for moving items through irregular routes inside the confined space. The majority of its application involve lifting and moving big objects. Next one is industrial trucks, used to move material over variable or horizontal paths without restriction on the area covered. So, industrial trucks, the majority of industrial vehicles allow for mechanized load collection and delivery, eliminating the need for physical lifting and transportation. So, para mapadali siya, hindi na kailangan ng manpower. So, in rich trucks, are typically industrial vehicles with electric motors that are used to load and unload tall rocks pallets. So that's for each truck. And in three-wheel forklift, used primarily indoors, in warehouse, or on a smooth surfaces, employ surfaces for room and flexibility. So number three is four-wheel forklift. Um, four-wheel forklifts, the power source for four-wheel forklifts can be electric and more stable than a three-wheel forklift is gasoline, which is typically used for outdoors. So that's all for the industrial trucks. Unit load formation equipments. Materials are constrained using unit formation equipment so they can be handled safely during storage and transportation. So the example of it is pallets and pallet boxes. Pallets are a flat transport devices that provide sturdy support for the items being lifted by a forklift. Then in pallet boxes are reusable container used to group and safeguard loose objects for handling by forklifts and platform trucks. And then next one is storage equipments type of tracking system. One is drive-through trucks, two is drive-in racks. So in drive-through racks is a racking system used for quickly transporting goods that are mass produced and built for first in, first out, which is FIFO, inventory management. So in drive-in rack naman is the sort of storage is intended for last in, first out inventory while loading and unloading from the same site, which is it calls LIFO. Inventory retrieval is organized according to the last in first out, so which is LIFO principles. So that's all for storage equipment types of racking systems. Then the next one is flow through track, flow through rack, pushback rack. So identification and control equipment, identification and control equipment are used to collect and communicate the information that is used to coordinate the flow of material within a facility and between facility and its suppliers and customers. So in flow through rack, throughout the length of the rack, the flow rails are a track and rolling system from the loading end to the unloading end. Loads can move by the gravity due to flow rails. So, and in pushback rack, pallet loading on a pushback rack moves the pallet behind back one position while the pallet in front of it is loaded from the front. When unloading, the front pallet is taken out and the rear pallets automatically advance forward to the front picking positions. So that's all for the two of plow through track rack or pushback rack. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening.